Thank you for joining us for Whatastory. And tell us your name and where we're at right now.
Oh, my name is Mary, and we are at a Whataburger in Georgia. How about that? And I'm originally from, Austin, Texas. So um, I've eaten a lot of Whataburgers, actually at a lot of places in Texas, East Texas, San Antonio, all around Austin. Had a lot of Whataburger in my life, and so we were real thrilled when we found this one that they put out here in Gwinnett County. And so it's a little bit of a drive for us, but that's okay. We come out here and have our Whataburger. And so,
Tell me about the first time you ate here. Did you meet a manager you run into, or maybe from the corporate office?
yeah, there was, I think it was right after they opened because things were very busy, staff were learning their roles and everything. And there was a man here, and he didn't look like a customer. I mean, he was very sharp, and was occupying the table by the door, and he had a computer and he was doing everything. He sort of made me think that he was like maybe retired military, just really, on the money. It's a nice African American man. And I said, "Are you with corporate Whataburger?" He said, "Oh yeah, I am." And I said, "Well, I have a few suggestions, here for the for the Whataburger." I said, "They need some shades over here because sun's coming in." I said, "They probably didn't think about that." And so, and I said, "Your parking lot's not big enough. Look at all the cars out there." I said, "You're gonna need a bigger parking lot," you know? And so, because they do have kind of a weird corner here. But, so I had a nice visit with him. He was real nice. So, but, I know you're interested in other places that I eaten that are memorable. Well, when I lived in Austin, I moved there from Houston when I was about 12 or 13. And, the man who became my husband 50 years ago, he took me to a restaurant in Austin, and it was just a little place. It was almost like a mobile home kinda thing, on the street, and it was on South Congress, which was sort of undeveloped as opposed to North Congress, and, um, and it was right across the street from the state blind school. No, I'm sorry, the state school for the deaf, and, it was just this little place. And you had to sorta know what to order when you went in there, which I didn't know. And they said, "Do you want a regular or you want a small or whatever?" And I thought, "Well, a small is a little thing, I said, "I'll just take a regular." And, Arthur said, "Well, I sure you want a regular?" And I said, It's okay." And so when it comes, the regular was about this big.
And what was the name of this place?
Schlotzsky's.
Slotsky's. And you're talking about Slotsky's in the early 70s.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mid 70s.
About 1970.
First Slotsky.
It was
Original.
the original Schlotzsky's. And it was wonderful. Was a multi-layered sandwich with sliced meat and, cheeses, chopped olives, a little bit of chopped onion, and it was on a sourdough bun that they baked there in the building. And, you could see the buns on the racks, they're big as a pie plate practically. And so and they cut them in 4, and you could probably eat 1.5 of those quarters, so you had to take it home with you. But it was the most fantastic thing, and I know that they've become franchised now, and they are not the same.
They're not the same as the original sauce.
No, no, they're sorta like it, as they say, just the same but different, well, not so not so hot, you know?
Mhm.
But that's what's good about Whataburger, they haven't changed. And so that's, to me, I understand that a restaurant operates on return business. So if you change your product, then the old regulars, are not may not come. So unfortunately Schlotzsky's changed. I guess they thought it was, I don't know, too expensive or too complicated or
Yeah,
something.
they're trying to meet everybody's tastes and olives and olive oil, and he fresh bread was not the
Oh, no, I mean, they made that was sourdough bread,
sourdough.
it was wonderful stuff, yeah, and the sandwich was, at least that big, you know, they had to put big toothpicks in it, so
Right.
but, yeah, so of course, my husband, he was from South Austin, which is sort of a different town. I lived in North Austin, which is separate, and a friend of mine, she said her sister wouldn't go to South Austin unless she could pack a bag, it's a real differentness. So my husband, he knew he knew the lay of the land, knew the people that ran the places and,
Right.
went to school with their kids and all that.
So when you came to this Whataburger, what did you tell the manager or the guy from corporate? You told him something. It was the parking.
I told him parking lot was too small. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been to Whataburgers, and when they're busy. And not everybody, not everybody does drive through.
Right.
You want to come in, sit down in the air conditioning, probably need a big glass iced tea or
Mhm.
something. That's the way I've experienced it, and like when we used to live in Alabama and we would drive back to Texas, we would drive on Interstate 20 and we knew exactly the exit in East Texas to pull off to get a Whataburger,
Mhm.
you know. And then there was one, I forget what town it was in. It was a little ways off the highway, and the franchisee had all the walls decorated with baseball memorabilia from Dallas, from the Dallas team. So he had baseball bats and pictures and great big posters and baseballs, signed by famous people.
Mhm.
And so that was always an interesting place to go eat because, and you've been driving for, you know, 8 hours or something. And it was pleasant, pleasant to be, to look at all the stuff and it would change, they would change it out periodically, and you say, oh, well, I hadn't seen this before.
Right. Right.
So he must have been friends with somebody at the Rangers
Mhm.
team,
And
So,
and tell me what do you do now, and what are you doing now?
oh, well, for many years, I was taught nursing at the graduate level, and I was a professor. And other than that, I was twice a Fulbright scholar. My first adventure was in about 1994, and I had a serial award, and my proposal was to do faculty development, and it was a new school of nursing. So I worked with the junior faculty because they didn't have any senior faculty because people were going off and getting doctorates and then coming back and then trying to, launch their research, in their home country. It was in Jordan. And so it was fantastic and it was always great to go back and I went back many times and using frequent flyer miles.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that was my saving grace. And so then the first time I went as a Fulbrighter, I took my husband and my young son. And so they had a good time. They would go and have adventures and stuff. And we got to go to some of the areas of antiquities. And and then more recently, as I, you know, phased out of working at a school of nursing, I did a Fulbright in Japan. And so there I was teaching a quantitative research course and a course in writing for publication. And I was requested that I taught in English because the scientific publications are primarily in English now.
Mm.
And so they wanted me to lecture in English and to work with the junior faculty on writing
And this is where? This is
in Chiba,
in
Japan.
Japan. Wow. And tell me, sorry if I interrupted. Tell me, you mentioned you were before you were a nurse, you were a seamstress, and you worked on a PBS show.
Yeah,
And
I was a self-taught seamstress. So when you're a self-taught anything, you know no bounds. And so at one point, I did get a job as a seamstress on a PBS program called Carol Colendas, and it was a primarily Spanish program. and it was filmed there in Austin at the public television, well, in the radio, TV, film building of the University of Texas at Austin, and they had a little studio.
It's like a Spanish Sesame Street.
Yes, that's what it was intended to do, and all the staff were native Spanish speakers. The woman who was the actual costume director, costumer, was from Puerto Rico,
Oh, wow.
and so you know they they managed all the costumes and everything.
What characters were in this show?
Oh well, they had an uncle, and he was Tio Cheo, and they had two dolls, which were two young women, and then they had a lion. So the lion had, he had a, he was a big man, and the costume was, sort of light brown, like a lion, the color of a lion. But his mane and everything was made out of ostrich feathers that were dyed to match. And it was really a lovely costume.
And you made this? Did you make this costume?
No, no, it was already made when I started working there. But when I was working there, the lion's costume was stolen.
Ooh.
Well, the thing is, like, the show must go on. And so this costumer, she she had to rebuild the costume. So she was able to get fabric for the main part of the costume, but she told me she sent her mother shopping in New York to buy the ostrich feathers for for really what you see on the camera,
Right.
which is the mane of the lion, and it had his ears, and then it was quite a lovely thing. But she said, "I have to send my mother." So fortunately, her mother lived in New York. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, she had to send her mother. So she got them in a. She had to buy them, box them up, ship them to Austin.
And
I forget how many days she had to do it. I mean, she only had a limited amount of time.
what year was this?
Well,
Early 70s?
still early 70s. No, it was after. That's maybe 75 or 70.
75. So they had Austin, Texas had a Sesame Street show for Hispanic viewers, basically.
Yeah.
That they produced themselves
Yeah.
out of the
Well, it was all set up through the same Sesame Street,
public
funding, public television. But see, at UT Austin, they had a sister radio station in San Antonio. And so they always talk about them together, KLRN and KLRU. And so RU is in San Antonio. So, they already had a market that was bilingual, but they were planning to have it shown in South American countries, Central America and South America.
Ooh, that's cool. That's really cool. Well, that's an amazing story, and that's why I call these "Whata stories" because they get these great stories. So, well,
Yeah.
thank you for talking to me today, and I'm also trying to raise money for a trip to Texas and interview a bunch of my family members and people in Texas that are interesting. So, I'm asking for donations there.
Well, that should actually be an exciting venture, because exciting video projects, because you have a lot of connections in Austin through my husband, who is you and my husband are original Austinites, which you don't usually find people who are in Austin who are from Austin, who are born in Austin.
Right.
And so that makes you and your father very unique people when you go to Austin. People say, "Oh, I'm from Austin." No, you are.
Yeah.
No, you are. You are really from Austin. That's a fakey thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome.